After a long hiatus, I'm here with Jonathan Slotter. We're gonna hop back on this podcast thing on a casual Thursday night. No shirts and ties today for the internet. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, trying to stave off this unusually cold weather here in Houston. It's like, I don't know, 37 degrees or something.
That sounds awful. And I went for a run in 45-degree rain today, and that sounds almost as bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that the NBA places, NBA, I don't know, games are so hot. You gotta, that was terrible. That's right. The hot takes will keep us warm. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. That was good. I'm for that one. We got plenty of hot takes to go around today because we're going to be giving out quarter season awards to start our podcast today. So we'll start with MVP, and so you don't sound like a homer, I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to give my quarter season MVP award to James Harden because I think he's just been absolutely outstanding. People can throw around Russell Westbrook all they want, but I'm not having any of that. I don't care about 6 straight triple doubles. I care about whose team looks better in the moment, and they're both probably equally responsible for their team's success right now. But Harden's team has been better. And I think he's made a jump in effort on the defensive end. He's been really fun to watch. They're playing a great style of basketball in Houston, and he's really, him and D'Antoni are the reasons why.
I think had we like done this podcast maybe like 2 weeks ago, I would have given it to Chris Paul. He's still destroying the league in like RPM.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. I think, the way that the Clippers were playing defense early on, I mean, they're still playing pretty good defense, but the way that they were just locked in, ready to go, they were like looking like they were going to make a statement. I think I would have had him first, but he's like slipped substantially since then. They have, 3 like really bad losses. Even they weren't even really competitive with the Warriors last night. So he slips all the way to 4th. I think what I would have had. I think in order I would go Harden and Westbrook and then Durant. I think Durant doesn't get talked enough about because the Warriors are just doing what the Warriors do, but Durant's really been the steadying hand for them this entire season. No, Curry and Clay and Draymond haven't been as consistent as they were last year. I for sure don't think any of them are going to reach the levels that they were at last year. And Durant's, I mean, he's putting up like 27 points on like 14 shots a game. It's just, it's absurd. So I think that he deserves to be in the conversation as well.
Yeah, I agree with that order. And I hadn't even thought about Chris Paul just because recently they've lost 5-7. He got a T 30 seconds into the game last night for putting his hands on an official in a huge game that you want to win because you're on a slide, and the Warriors kind of had their number. That's not the way you want to start season. But yeah, Chris Paul's been incredible. The Clippers have been incredible up until this recent streak. I think this is more of an anomaly than what's going to be the norm for the Clippers. But
I mean, but the thing, with them is that their starters have to be so good, and their starters still are playing really well, but they almost have to be playing astronomically better than what they're capable of consistently. And I think it's something that the Clippers will struggle with for the regular season because the bench just isn't good enough, and there's going to be weeks where the bench plays well, and that's going to be able to buoy them, and they can put on what they did at the beginning of the season. But I think whenever the playoffs comes and they can shorten that rotation, I believe that they'll be able to maintain a higher level of success. But I think for the regular season, they're going to kind of have these ebbs and flows as the bench goes.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of the way they've always been, right? Their starters destroy people, and then the bench can't keep up. It'll be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. I mean, obviously, Russell Westbrook's going to get a lot of love because he's shouldering a huge burden in OKC, and he's putting up crazy numbers. But some of the triple-double is by design. Have you seen the rebounding numbers? How many he's getting? Like 3.5 more uncontested defensive rebounds a game this season than he did last year, just because people are letting him come in and grab the rebounds to keep the streak going.
I mean, I think, as long as they're winning, though, it has to be measured. And like you said, his success is directly correlated to their success. And, they're 14-8 or whatever they are. And that, I didn't, that's on pace for like 52 wins or 53
Yeah.
wins. And so I think, 44, I think, is like what we had kind of had them at, I think, whenever we did the Over Under podcast. So for them to be at 52 right now, I think that's really impressive. I know the schedule isn't as tough as some of the other teams, but regardless, he's still getting it done. And he's coming through. I mean, in classic Westbrook, how they beat the Wizards the other night, where he just plays terrible, and then in the last 2 minutes he catches fire, and he like, it's like the Westbrook doesn't quit or whatever, and like any NBA player quits at like that level. But
the effort level he puts up over, whatever 41, 42 minutes that he plays a night is absolutely astounding. I mean,
it's insane. It really is.
We see him. I mean, he jogs back on defense or reaches and then doesn't get back to help. But like for 39 of those 42 minutes, he's in go mode, and it's really incredible to watch. He deserves all the credit for that. Durant is a guy that, you're right, I don't think is going to get talked about a lot, but he's scoring his career average with the Warriors, taking 3 shots less per game this season. He's shooting 57%. He's actually dipped in percentage from the free throw line this year, like 4 percentage points or something, and he's still able to do this.
Yeah, his field goal percentage is 68.
It's insane.
The fifth, it's weird. I was going to say that the who I had fifth was DeRozan, and because he obviously came out shooting on fire, but we always have this like weird thing with Toronto, and we're like, can't Toronto, like, they're a nice team, but they don't really have someone that can raises their ceiling, and I think we saw for like 2.5 weeks that it's not Lowry, it's DeRozan who can really raise their ceiling if he's like playing out of his mind. And I mean, for those first, and that's weird to say because like I'm not really a DeRozan fan. I don't really like how he plays, but I think if he's playing like he was for those first 3 weeks, I think they really could give the Cavs a run for their money because he was just making shots that even if LeBron's covering them and covering them well, like I think he was just going to make those shots. And I think he deserves. I think his stats and his numbers are steadily going to decline throughout the year, but I think he should get a lot of credit for averaging 31 points a game. And in any other season, that would be like the craziest thing, and we'd all be talking about it.
That's true. I thought DeRozan's start to the season was pretty incredible, and then it lost a little bit of its luster for me when he went up against the Cavs and the Warriors. Granted, it was back-to-back night, and that's tough to go up against the Warriors on the second night of back-to-back when he played the Cavs, and he struggled. It was the first. Felt like those were his first 2 challenges of the season, and yeah, he got his numbers, but it took him like 30 shots to get those numbers in those games. Those teams, the elite teams, find a way to keep him from getting to his spots in ways that maybe when he puts up 40 on the Sixers or something, they really can't. If he sustains it throughout the regular season, the rest of the season, you got to tip your hat to him and say congratulations because it's tough to be an efficient mid-range jump shooter in the NBA today, and he's kind of carved out that role for himself and is really excelling at it. So,
and Toronto has.
I would have LeBron James at 5. Yeah, Toronto. He also is the best plus minus
in the East. So,
yeah. Do you see? We'll talk about the Clippers and the Warriors later. Never mind. I would put LeBron James at number 5 just because I can't have him outside of a top 5 in an MVP race. But I think DeRozan's definitely earned his keep to be talked about with the best in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I mean, I assume LeBron throughout as the year continues, we'll climb the ladder. But I think it was worthy to talk about now.
Absolutely. So let's move to Coach of the Year. Obviously, for me, you're going to pry that award from Brad Stevens' cold, dead hands every single year.
That's the Brad Stevens Award.
It's basically the Brad Stevens Award at this point. So that's why he doesn't win it. They just give it to other people. They don't want to make him feel bad. So, in all honesty, I would have Luke Walton as number one in my Coach of the Year ranking. I think he's just shown that he wasn't a flash in the pan because of the talent the Warriors had last year in that 24-0 start. It wasn't him rolling the ball out. I think he's a really good basketball coach, and I think the Lakers have given an opportunity to prove that, where they really struggled with not unsimilar talent levels last year with Byron Scott, who was just needed to go clearly, and he gained Luol Deng, who's a good basketball player, and Ingram's been good for him. They paid Mozgov $16 million a year. I can't not say it, um, and and they've been fun to watch. They've been a really competent basketball team. I think he's unlocked something with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench as a sixth man and really providing them with some things on the offensive end. I have to say, even though they're a losing team and probably won't end up making the playoffs, Luke Walton so far has been my coach of the year just because he's just been such an improvement for that Lakers team.
Yeah, I think I was listening to it was either one of the Locked Ons or maybe the Ringer podcast. They compared it to the year that Jeff Hornacek, and the Suns, whenever they won 46 games and missed the playoffs, when everyone expected them to be like a 20-win team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely warranted. I had him second on my list. I had Quinn Snyder first. The Jazz, they have the net rating of a team that's going to win 57 games. I think they're fourth in the NBA, despite consistent injuries to Hill, Hayward, and Favors, and now Rodney Hood. So the way that they've been able to battle back through those injuries, really, they have the top 10 offense and a top 10 defense, which is just incredible. Typically those are reserved for elite teams with elite players, and I think that they're really there. They have some, they don't really have an elite player. I think Gobert is elite at defense, but he's not himself an elite player. And so what they're doing with the cast that they have, although it's a very deep and talented cast, is not lacks, that cornerstone player. Really impressive job. And then I think I'd have to put, I know this is going to be a weird choice, but I like Stan Van Gundy.
Mm-hmm.
The Pistons are second in defense in the NBA, which was a little surprising to me. But the way that they've really buoyed that team with Ish Smith and no one else to really back him up at the point guard spot, when the point guard is such a key position in Stan Van Gundy's offense, I think I really think that the Pistons are going to win 50 games this year, even despite their slow start because of the injuries. And the way they're 11-11 right now, I mean, I really think that they're going to finish third in the East or something like that, because they really sustained this, just kept the ship afloat until Reggie Jackson got back.
Yeah, I like both of those choices. I have Quinn Snyder third on my list. I had Mike D'Antoni number two. I just said that if I'm giving Harden all the credit along with D'Antoni's got to make my Coach of the Year ballot as well. I think he's helped Capella improve with the offense they've been able to run. I mean, Harden's got a lot to do with that, but so does D'Antoni. He's unlocked Ryan Anderson again as a shooting machine. He's launching 26-footers. It's fun to watch. I mean, he's got him playing competent defense. They're going to be a mid-level defensive team, I think, by the end of the year.
Yeah, they're 20th now, and they were 25th or something. I mean, playing the Lakers helps, but
not the Warriors.
Their net rating went up 1.5 points last night, alone.
That's funny. Well, all right, that's fair. Yeah, I think to your point, Quinn Snyder's been great. I think the Jazz team is finally getting to be what we all thought it was going to be for the past couple years. Even with the injuries, which says a lot about what he's doing with that team. Having Gobert healthy has been really important. And I think Gordon Hayward can be that guy for them that they need. He just hasn't been able to be consistently healthy, but he's averaging 24 points a game when he's in the lineup. And, if they had Hill, he was playing great. I think he's still, for players, he's still the most efficient scorer in the NBA for the time he was actually able. I think if they can get all those guys healthy for the rest of the season, they're going to be not just a tough out, but a team you've got to really worry about making a run in the Western Conference by the end of it.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anyone else that you were considering, or?
I think with what Budenholzer has done, rebuilding the roster, and they've been competent down in Atlanta, he deserves. I mean, he's just a great basketball coach, deserves some consideration. And then Hoiberg's done a great job with the Bulls as well. So I think you got to talk about both of those guys anytime you're talking about guys that have done a great job coaching this year, which is funny because we gave Hoiberg a lot of garbage last year for them underachieving. But I think with the wonky roster he's got, you got to give him some credit for what they're doing this year.
Yeah, I would have liked Budenholzer again, like Chris Paul, like 2 weeks ago, but the Hawks have been so bad. I mean, and they've been getting just blown out by like bad teams, good teams. It doesn't matter. They're really struggling right now.
I feel like the last solid basketball game they played was against the Warriors at Oracle.
Yeah, I think the only other person I would consider was who finished fourth on my list was Jason Kidd, and what they've done with, everyone thought they were going to win like 32 games with Chris Middleton out, and they're like 5 games over 500, and we'll talk about Giannis later. So
yeah. So the year you got in that list?
Who was it? Rookie of the year?
Defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year. So my top 3 were Gobert first, and then Draymond second, and Kawhi third. So in Kawhi, I really struggle with Kawhi because his numbers aren't nearly as good as last year, and I think some of that's to do with the pieces that are around him more than him. I feel like if there's anyone that can really buoy a defense from like the wing position as opposed from like the center position, it's him. And even then, they're like still really struggling to do it. But I mean, outside of like Danny Green, there's like not another good defender on that team, which is like really weird to say. Well, and I guess Dedmon's pretty solid too. So they have like 3 good defenders, and everyone else I would say is at best average and typically below average, which is like just really weird for a Spurs team. So I really struggled with him in like placing it like eye test versus, the advanced stats and stuff like that. Gobert's obviously, the Jazz are leading the league in defense. Just his ability to really take away like the vertical spacing of teams is amazing. And I mean, I watch a lot of Rockets games, but it's amazing. Like he can just take away so many easy baskets, and it just makes it so difficult. And you like have to make shots against the Jazz, or else you're just not gonna beat them. And he's the main component for why that's the case. Draymond, I think, is going to end up having to play center a lot more this year than he had in the past. The Warriors defense, we talked about this a little bit through text messages and stuff, that the Warriors defense is really rounded into shape. Their defensive pieces are, I'd say, a little worse. I'd say everyone outside of Kate, except for KD, and KD's efforts inconsistent, but I would say Steph is worse than he was last year. Clay's worse than he was last year. Iggy's worse than he was last year. And KD's inconsistent, more inconsistent than Barnes is. But Draymond's really been the rock there. And I wouldn't argue if you wanted to put him first, but what Gobert's done, I think, has been really impressive.
I have Draymond Green number 1, Rudy Gobert number 2. We got the same 2 guys in our mind. I think they're far away from Kawhi Leonard right now. Personally, I think Kawhi Leonard is getting my number 3 based on reputation. I don't know that he's a really good on-ball defender. I just don't think he incites the fear. It's like you said, it's hard to anchor a defense from the wing the way you can as a post defender. And Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert get the luxury of that place of anchor. I think Kawhi Leonard's defensive real plus minus is like 0.9 this year, which when I saw that the other day just blew my mind. I think Kyle Anderson right now has a higher plus minus at the small forward real plus minus than Kawhi Leonard does, which obviously shows the stat doesn't tell you everything. Which you can point to Klay Thompson for last year, right? But yeah, I think the point with Draymond Green is that the Warriors defense was struggling a lot at the beginning of the season. And I think a lot of it had to do with Draymond Green struggling a lot defensively at the beginning of the season. It felt like he knew where he needed to be, but it looked like he was yelling at other guys a lot because they were getting to know where everybody was going to be, adding Pachulia and Durant. He's such a disruptive force. Every time I see him force Blake Griffin into a night shooting night while also like picking Chris Paul's pocket once or twice, it's amazing every time you see it that he can be as versatile as he is and play 5 against DeAndre Jordan in the same game and keep him off the glass. I just think he does a lot for that team. And then Gobert deserves all the credit with all the pieces that have been moving back and forth for Utah. He's been the steady guy, and their defense has been. It helps that they play a slower pace. It makes their numbers look better for Gobert, but he's just been a beast defensively, and like you said, takes away a lot of easy baskets. Whether it's deflecting an alley-oop or blocking a shot or even just scaring somebody into taking a worse shot when they come to the rim or pulling up from 15 feet instead of going to the rim when they had an opportunity. He just affects every play within 15 feet of the rim, it feels like, for the Jazz.
Was Kawhi third on your list?
Yeah, Kawhi's a pretty distant third from those two guys. And like I said, it's on reputation. I feel like he's going to turn it around at some point. I actually was thinking about Durant just because of what he's done for the Warriors. He is their rim protector. He's got more shot blocks this year than DeAndre Jordan does, which is crazy to think about. 7 foot with a 7'4" wingspan, but his effort seems inconsistent at times. But I feel like he's made big plays and deep for them defensively when he's locked in and been the real rim protector for them.
Yeah, I think two other guys I would have considered was Whiteside. I think the Heat's defense has been really good, and then DeAndre Jordan as well. I mean, anchoring that defense. They were on pace. The Clippers were on. I think they had like a 90 like defensive rating at some point, like through like I don't know.
It was crazy the first couple weeks of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the lowest in the last like 30 years has been like 95 or something. They were like 5 points better than that. I mean, it was like super insane.
Jesus. Yeah. They were, that was an incredible performance defensively the first couple weeks of the season for them. All right. Now we can go to Rookie of the Year. Give me your rookies.
I have 3, and it's Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid.
Oh, man.
I gotta get asking for my Joel Embiid jersey for Christmas.
There you go.
It's no, that dude is so much fun to watch. I love watching him, and he's just like, and he's so goofy and everything. I don't know. He's really great, and I think above all, he's just really fascinating. It's amazing that his offensive efficiency is as good as it is, given the fact that like this is his rookie year, and there's really no one else that's a threat on that team except for like Covington. Maybe he's like can shoot a little bit.
Saric maybe.
Yeah. Oh, but he's not even really like a scorer. I mean, he's like a very solid player, but he's not like a threat, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's been really fascinating to watch. I don't really think that there's a rookie that's close. Maybe Harrison, from Memphis. He's had some moments.
I would say Murray from Denver is the closest guy
to Murray. Yeah,
to Joel Embiid right now. Yeah,
but he's just. Think about it, if he was playing 30 minutes a game, he was getting the opportunity to take good guys. Geez, and like I heard like people were shooting like the worst percentage at the rim on him. Like what the hell?
Down there. He's so good.
Geez.
My favorite Joel Embiid stat that I found when I started deciding why it was going to be Joel Embiid, Murray for me, was that Joel Embiid is leading all rookies in 3-point percentage right now. he's 19 for 38 from the 3-point line this season. It's insane. I like watching him warm up, man. He's just he can handle the ball. He's got a really good shooting stroke. He's unbelievable to watch. I think I'm actually going to go to the Philadelphia 76ers Golden State Warriors game this year to watch Joel Embiid play basketball. That's how you know you're an exciting rookie.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then there's some guys that are doing some like nice things, but But yeah, I mean, he's really stealing the show.
He is. I think Brandon Ingram's looked solid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly he wasn't a miss with the number 2 pick this year. I think Chris Dunn has looked really good at times, but he's looked really, really lost. Like the pace of the game's just way too fast for him right now at other times.
Right.
Trying to think of who else I've seen that.
Yeah, those old rookies have disappointed between him and
Yeah,
Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield. Oh, Buddy Hield's been. We don't need to talk about Buddy Hield, unfortunately. It's just way too fast for him. He can't guard anybody. My favorite rookie that's actually getting minutes has to be Ron Baker, right? Getting minutes with the Knicks. That's the craziest thing. I did not expect that coming into this season.
Yeah, that's
I didn't expect him to be a guy that got minutes. Playing point guard in like their second unit. So strange. Second, like their third unit point guard. Very, very, very weird.
I mean,
yeah. Anyway,
he looks slow, and I liked Ron Baker a lot in college, but he looks slow in like whenever he was playing in the FIBA Americas or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't really able to generate his own shots then. I don't know. That one's like really weird.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. But yeah, anyways, Joel Embiid's the only guy we need to be talking about right now as far as rookies. He's so good. So let's stop loving on Joel Embiid for a minute and go to most improved player. Number 1 for me, I had the Greek freak, Giannis. He's just been insane this year. Number 2, I have Jabari Parker. I feel like both those guys have made huge jumps this year, and that's been a huge reason why the Bucks have been able to do what they've been able to do. And number 3 is a guy that has been, I'll tie, both these guys are on the same team as well. Devin Booker and TJ Warren have just both been really, really good at putting the ball in the bucket for the Phoenix Suns. And I didn't expect this from TJ Warren this season. I mean, I knew it's what he did at NC State, but he was really, really good. And I expected the jump from Devin Booker, but he still made it. So I have to give him his props for what he's been able to do this year.
Yeah, I feel that's like kind of how it goes. Is sometimes it's people. It should go to more people that you expect to make the jump, but whenever people exceed our expectations, that seems to jump out more at us. I also had Giannis at number 1. I mean, he's posted multiple triple doubles this year. The way he went at LeBron in that game against Cleveland was just, like it was like Nate Duncan said in his podcast. It was the only time he can remember like a guy being like, "All right, LeBron, I'm like more athletic than you, and let's do this." It's like no one else in the world can say that except for Giannis. And then we were talking about this before the show that his numbers and both raw stats and advanced stats are both better than KD and LeBron at the age of 22. And we forget that he's only 22. So
it feels like he's been around for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it does. And so what he's done is just incredible. And he's obviously an awesome kid, but he's really starting to get that like mentality where he realizes when he needs to take over a game. Like he's really starting to figure that out. And I think that is fun to watch. And I need to start watching more Bucks games, to be honest.
That's fair. I feel like he's always had that sort of like, I don't know what to call it, like a mental stank face or something like that, or like he was just like, does that make sense? I think it does.
Like he's always been competitive. Like he doesn't very obvious he doesn't like losing, but he's like hasn't really been able to like put that energy into something that's like useful or positive.
Yeah. And now he's just, it's like, he still is not a great shooter or anything, but he can still work on that. He's 22 years old and his mechanics aren't broken. But like, right. It's just like, oh God, I think I saw it on Twitter. I said it to somebody. I don't even remember at this point. It was like, there's probably not been anything as scary coming at you on a fast break as Giannis is this year as LeBron James was when he was 23, 24 years old. Like you want to get out of the way of Giannis like you did LeBron James right now.
Yeah. I mean, and he's put up like, I mean, I don't remember what the stat was, but it was like, it's been a really long time since someone's averaged like 2 blocks and 2 steals a game for the season.
I think Michael Jordan did it. No, Michael Jordan did 1.5 and 3, 1.5 blocks and 3 steals. There's only 2 other players that have even done it in a long time. I can't remember who they were either now. Lots of good we are.
Yeah, yeah, we did a lot of research for this. Don't worry. I think, and then I also had uh, Clint Capella was my second. Probably a bit of a homer pick, but just the way that he's been able to like sustain the load. Like the biggest thing for him coming in, what we all talked about was, he's not big enough to really play like more than like 20 minutes a game. He's not big enough to rebound well, and I think he started off slow on the rebounding front for sure. But the way that he can play defense out on the perimeter, and then really, I mean, he really can jump out the gym. Him and James Harden have excellent chemistry. I mean, he's averaging like 14 points a game just like off of dunks, and the way that he's been rebounding lately, I think it's another one of the reasons why the Rockets' defense has improved, because they've been rebounding better, and he's been at the forefront of that. Has been pretty impressive to me, and so I had him number 2 on my list. But I mean, yeah, I think Giannis is pretty far and away the the best choice for most improved player.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, I'm not going to argue Clint Capella deserving to be on that list, and maybe it's because I'm as big of a Rockets homer as you are this year, clearly. But yeah, he's made huge strides, and I don't know how much of it has to do with James Harden putting him in situations to succeed on the offensive end. But it's like you said, he's been great for him defensively and rebounding as well. So, and that's something they sorely needed coming into the season, was a center that was going to be reliable at protecting the rim and rebounding the basketball. And he's been able to give them that.
And I think my third choice, which is going to be like completely off the wall, and I actually don't think it's sustainable, but for me it's a fun story because I really liked him in college, is Sean Kilpatrick.
Oh,
Like,
he's been great.
what the hell? Like he had like that. He had like that 30-point fourth quarter overtime game against like against the Clippers, and
Clippers.
and
Yeah,
like what is going on? He's averaging 16.7 points a game. I
he's
mean,
he may have single-handedly destroyed the Clippers season and started them on this downward turn. Who
yeah.
knows?
I
We don't
mean,
know. Maybe.
and I mean, I kind of had thought that that was just kind of like a one game thing, but I've been like keeping up with him more, and he's been doing this game in and game out, and he's been a real positive with Jeremy Lin, not being able to play. He's been one of their best offensive weapons outside of Lopez, and I mean, yeah, he's doing it on a bad team, and that's fine, but I think in a sense, I mean, he's getting opportunity, but he's taking advantage of the opportunity, and
Yeah.
I mean, he's never averaged more than probably like 4 points a game or something for his career. So I mean, if he keeps this up, I think that I would have him on the list.
I like that. I watched 3 Brooklyn Nets games because of him having that huge fourth quarter overtime. So, I mean, like, if you can get me to watch the Brooklyn Nets, you're doing something right.
Yeah, he actually averaged 13 points a game last year, in
Oh,
only 23 games though. But before he averaged 3 and 5 in 12 combined games between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets.
oh wow. I guess we have to give some credit to Bobby Marks, right? Because Kilpatrick's given him a lot of the credit for just believing in him and giving him an opportunity in Brooklyn, and he just kind of told him to go out and play his game. I saw that was a quote from Kilpatrick actually when I was watching one of the games. And it's just basically, hey, he basically saved my life and just told me to go out there and play my game, and I've been able to come out and succeed with the opportunity. So that's pretty cool. Because I deserve some credit for the hopefully
Absolutely.
positive uptick we're going to see in Brooklyn.
And I was thinking about this. I was actually thinking about this for Coach of the Year, and I was like, oh, should we make this another podcast? But I was like, nah, that's kind of a waste of time. I was thinking about who like has been like my most disappointing player of the year. I think I have to go with like Bradley Beal.
Yeah, 100%.
Like God, like the Wizards are so. I tweeted earlier today. I'm like, I really think they should blow it up. I mean, they are so bad. Like I mean, Wall has been so good, but man, they're terrible.
Who's going to deal for Bradley Beal right now, though? I'm not for that contract.
Yeah, I don't know. You know
Is
what's
that worse than
weird?
the Mozgov contract?
What's actually weird, and I think would make a lot of sense for both teams. And I like the Wizards would have to give up like 2 picks too. But if they did a Beal for Cousins swap, I think that makes a lot of sense. because they need shooting. And maybe Beal, like I feel like Beal and Cousins maybe just need to like get out of like where they are.
That's fair. I don't like a Beal and Gortat for like Cousins and Bellinelli swap.
But do they really need Gortat?
No, they don't. But then you've just got to.
But I think the
Well, I don't
contracts
know.
I think the contracts match up though, right?
No, Beal makes what like 20, and then Cousins makes 14 or something like that. So it depends on the cap situations, but
Well, they couldn't add Gortat's money into it. I'd have to go look at
no,
the
they couldn't.
But I think that would make sense for both teams. Or if they sent like Beal to like Orlando or something, go back to his Florida roots.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think those are two guys that really could use a change in scenery.
Could you imagine? Actually, I like the Orlando deal better. Let's send him to Orlando. Let's get John Wall throwing lobs to Gordon, and that would be awesome.
That'd be fun. Yeah, well, we can at least have fun.
Yeah. I think that's the move.
All right, we should be GMs. When are we going to get a job?
Yeah.
Co-GMs of whichever expansion franchise happens next.
Whichever one moves to Las Vegas.
That's what I was gonna say. We can just take the team that goes to Vegas. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great.
We already thought about it.
Oh god, this is awesome. All right. Anyways, sixth man of the year. I've got Eric Gordon down because, like I said, I'm a Rockets homer now. Apparently, I just feel like he's brought a lot to this team defensively. But he's been able to stay relatively healthy for them for this season, averaging a little over 17 points a game. He's guarding important players down the stretch of games. They're going to him at the end. He was really important in that Warriors win. So Eric Gordon's my guy. I haven't paid a ton of attention to 6 men of the year, so I don't want to give cliche names that I don't that don't deserve to be on this list. So I'm riding or dying with Eric Gordon right now.
Fair enough. I have Lou Williams and then Eric Gordon. It's like weird. It's a weird year. I really don't think that there's a third. I mean, I guess maybe Sean Kilpatrick. Has he played? I don't know if he'll play enough bench games though.
I was gonna say Jordan Clarkson is a guy that could potentially.
Yeah, but I think Lou Williams has been like better. They had like a Lou Williams someone tweeted about Lou Williams and his perf like 36 numbers were like basically the same as Kyrie's.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's not like he's playing like minimal minutes either. You know, he's playing like 26 or 27 minutes, but he's been like really good this year.
Huh. I didn't realize that. I guess I don't watch a ton of Lakers games, so it's not something I would realize. But
yeah,
that's actually really crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I think he's been good. Like he's one of those I guess like unexpected veteran. There's like they would talk about these like veteran leaders like with young teams. I feel like he's been unexpectedly good in that role. Like I wouldn't expect him to be like take a guy under his wing. His very skinny arm, and him and Brandon Ingram just walking around seeing who's skinnier.
Couple of skinny dudes jacking up 26-footers for fun.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been really good. So I guess it's like Steven Jackson or something. Like you don't expect him to be like a good mentor, but he is. So whatever.
Yeah, I was trying to think of guys. There's just not a lot of it. Like Jamal Crawford will probably end up winning the award for some stupid reason, because he always does. Like all the usual candidates, I just didn't feel like were there. Like Crawford, no. Iguodala this year, he's starting to round into form. He's looked really good the past few games. Looks like he's got a little bit of past couple games, but he hasn't been that great. It's just I was like, oh, what about Channing Frye? I was like, no, not Channing Frye. It just doesn't feel like there's
Patty Mills has been pretty good.
Patty Mills has been good. That was a guy that has actually been pretty good. So I feel like it's maybe just not a great year for the award, or maybe I just don't pay attention to bench units. I don't know, but I think Eric Gordon and Lou Williams are kind of the guys. I thought it was going to be Alec Burks was going to be a guy that could win the award, but he's been hurt all season, unfortunately for the Jazz.
Or someone like Al Jefferson or something, but he's been terrible.
Yeah, but he's been awful.
But I mean, I would have expected him to have been in contention for this.
Yeah, you would think so. They've just been a mess, though. So, oh well. So do you want to talk about the Clippers Warriors game last night?
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about it, just because it was so surprising to me. And maybe and like we were talking, we touched on this a little bit earlier, and with how the Clippers play, it's going to be ebbs and flows, but they've typically always played the Warriors really well, even though they haven't really ever gotten great games out of like Blake, and I feel like Redick, is like off and on against them, but they just didn't really look competitive against the Warriors, and I know it's just one game, but it's how they've looked. I feel like maybe the pressure's starting to get to them. They started off so hot. They're like, this is our year. And now they've lost five. What do you say? 5 of 7. That seems right. They're tied in the loss column with the Rockets right now. That seems like really bizarre. And so are the Clippers? Like I said, my hot take was I think that they're going to finish like 6th. And
That's good thing it's only
hot.
37 degrees in Houston. You'd be sweating right now.
Because I think at the end, I think if the Jazz end up getting healthy, I think that the Jazz could jump to that 3 seed, and then we'll get exactly what we want. We'll get a Rockets, Thunder 4-5 series to have the right to go play the Warriors.
I assume the Spurs are finishing number 2.
Yeah.
In this scenario, okay.
Yeah. But
I'm not quitting on the Rockets.
That would be a bomb playoff series. The Thunder Rockets.
Yeah, that would actually be a lot of fun to watch.
It would be insane.
I'm all for that playoff series.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going to happen, and then and the Jazz will play the Clippers in the 3rd. I don't know though. I mean, the Clippers won't blow it up because Rock Divers, won't he won't make any of the moves necessary. But I think they kind of should. I think this team is either
they don't fit
maxed or it's like over the hill.
I think it's a bit of. I just the pieces don't fit. I don't think they ever have. I think Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan fit really, really well. Mm-hmm. I think they should have. I think if the rumors were true and they could have pulled a Blake Griffin for Durant trade last year, they really dropped the ball. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because Durant's shown this year he doesn't mind playing without the ball in his hands. He played with Russell Westbrook for 7 years. Like it never was clearly that important to him. I don't think Griffin fits. He needs the ball. He wants it in the post. He's not a good post player. He has terrible footwork in the post. I mean, I get Blake Griffin's really athletic and awesome and overpowering or oohs and ahs at his dunks or whatever. He's just never been a guy that impressed me at an elite level.
Griffin was whenever Chris Paul was hurt and they were like having to run like 4 or 5 pick and rolls and he was averaging like
he's great 9
assists a game. It was like insane for that playoff run.
And I think Griffin and Jordan can fit.
Yeah.
But I don't think Paul and Griffin fit together. I think it's a problem for them. And like you said, Doc Rivers the only move Doc Rivers wants to make is paying his son. So that's unfortunate for the Clippers.
The thing is, I think Paul shoots well enough where he could fit, but Paul just likes the ball, and he's real. I mean, Chris Paul is amazing, so you don't want to take the ball out of his hands. But I think you could diversify the offense more and have Paul be off ball and have Griffin run these 4 or 5 pick and rolls with Redick and Ahmad Butte, I guess. But I mean, I think that you could at least. I think it's an innovative way to create more spacing on that team.
I agree with that.
Could not like Griffin run like what Draymond does, with like a center, like with Blake at the center unit or something like that.
Yeah, I think you could.
On defense, he wouldn't be the same, but on offense, he'd be better than what Draymond is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just think Chris Paul's ego, only has one thing, and it's point guard, and he won't let anybody else take that from him. It's like the Brad Stevens Coach of the Year award. You can pry it from his cold, dead hands. I get he's a great passer, but I don't think he's an unselfish basketball player. I've never thought Chris Paul was a super unselfish basketball player. Which is why I don't.
My mind is changing on that. Like the more I see it now, I'm starting to agree with you.
And I think so. To go back to the game last night, the The Warriors just don't they have no respect for him. That's why they come out and play the way they do. Because usually they're coming back in the fourth quarter or something. I think they're just kind of getting sick of all the talk of the Clippers being really good.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, the Warriors are really rounding into shape. I know they lost the Rockets in a rough game, but they've absolutely destroyed everyone in these like last 13 games. Their net rating must be like 17 or like something like really crazy. They're just killing it. You're really starting to see. I mean, they're up to averaging 120 points a game, which is by far the most any team's averaged, and since like the 80s. It's going to be. I think they're really starting to figure out what they are. And Kerr's even playing weird lineups, and I contest that the whole reason they lost that game against the Rockets was that they had that like weird JaVale McGee lineup, and those like 5 minutes in the second quarter just like kept the Rockets in it, or allowed them to buoy their lead.
I'd argue that it's because I think the Rockets are the second best team in the Western Conference, so that's okay. The final point I guess I'll make on the Warriors is the JaVale McGee thing is working, and I didn't expect it to. He's competent at times for the Warriors, and it's really cool and I'm excited about it, but it still is shocking every time I see him make a good play on the basketball court.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to get used to, and it'll be like a season-long process about, instead of going up for like rebound putback dunks, he's going to like gather the rebound and like kick it out to someone. And then if you can get that kind of play from JaVale McGee, in addition to like his length that he provides on the defense, that's going to be something. We'll see if Kerr can work his magic on that.
So we'll go talk a little bit about the Bucks.
We talked a little bit about the Bucks. We talked about how Giannis and Jabari have really played well. Kid's doing, Kid like gives and then Kid like takes away. And what I mean by that is he's played some like really weird lineups, and like some of them have worked, some of them haven't worked. He's like had these like weird DNPs for like Greg Monroe. And I don't think any of us think like Greg Monroe is like a great basketball player, but he probably needs to play on this team for at least stretches whenever Giannis isn't playing, because they just need someone to score and someone to take shots basically. But he's done like some weird lineups where he has like, basically Giannis playing the 5, and they've run out that lineup a few times. He's had innovative ways to like to make shooting happen. The signing of Teletovic has been really good, and I think he should even play more than he has played. And we both thought that was like really going to work out, and it really has. Dellavedova played really, really well for them. I think the impact he's had has been greater than the expectations.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if you'd agree with that. And Tony Snell has been, okay. I mean, he's not Chris Middleton or anything, but
he's a rotation NBA player, which he was never in Chicago.
Yeah, and so I think Kid's done a really nice job despite some like weird things he's done. And we'll talk about the Rockets last, but I think it's very similar to what D'Antoni's done, rotations wise. Yeah, he's had some weird rotations, but he's not scared to go outside the box, because you're not going to beat, they have some talent, but without Middleton, they just kind of lack the guns to go at teams like the Cavs. So you got to think outside the box in order to make teams uncomfortable or give them something new. And I think Kid's willing to do that. And I think that's a big reason why the Bucks are where they are, and why he's unlocked Giannis to where gotten him to the level that he's at, right now.
Yeah, Kid's been Kid giveth and Kid taketh away, like you said. Really great in some moments, not so great in others. He's really good this season. I guess the only guy we haven't talked about that I feel like I notice making plays every time I watch the Bucks is John Henson. He's been a really steady presence underneath for them, and probably one of the reasons that he's been able to do the Greg Monroe deal is he's been really solid defensively inside for them. they've got good pieces. If they had Chris Middleton, I mean, I wish they've had Chris Middleton all season. I think they'd have been a really, really good basketball. Not that they aren't. But.
You know, and I think Jabari next year. I think like we all like. I think this year it sucks that Middleton's hurt, but in a way, I think like Middleton being hurt is allowing Parker and Giannis to grow at a faster pace than they would have when he's there. So whenever he comes back next year, they're going to be like really, really awesome to watch. Like they might be like the second best team in the East. Good, because Parker is having to like do more on offense. He's keeping up his efficiency despite increasing his usage, and he's already taken more threes than he has last year. And while he's only shooting 33%, that's 5% better than what he was shooting last year from three. So he's really stepping up his game. What's that?
Middleton makes him better defensively when he comes back too.
Yo, absolutely. And you know, and Parker really struggled on the defensive end last year, and he's been like an average defensive player this year. And
that's a competent defender this year, which he wasn't last year.
Yeah, it's a huge leap. So I think that this time away from Middleton is like allowing them to maybe get some tools that can really prepare them for a deep run next year.
Yeah, I'm going to give Jabari Parker credit in one area that we haven't talked about. And I think it's something Carmelo Anthony never really did until recently. They were both elite scorers coming out of college, but they were never in great shape. They were both kind of doughy. And I feel like Jabari Parker's addressed that part of their games earlier than Carmelo Anthony did, which is who I compare him to. But I think that's gone a long way in helping him.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about the Rockets. So we can get done because it's 10:35 your
time. No worries. Yeah, I mean, so I watch them all the time. I'm interested to hear what you think and what you know what you've taken away and what you think is sustainable, what you don't think is sustainable moving forward.
Well, you'll probably not be surprised to find that I probably watched them as much as you. It's the first team I turn on when I turn on League Pass at like 4 or 5 o'clock before the Warriors come in. It's so much fun to watch. I mean, I think what Harden's doing is obviously sustainable. He's proven it since he's been a man in Houston. He can be the guy on a team. I think the defense is only going to continue to get better the more Pat Beverly's in the lineup and healthy. I think that's helped them a lot, obviously. I think maybe the role guys aren't going to continue to hit threes at the rate they're hitting them. Because there's like 4 guys on pace to hit over 220 threes this year. Something crazy.
Yeah, I think Harden, Ariza, Gordon, and Anderson are like all in the top 10 of made threes.
Yeah. So is that? I mean,
I don't know. I think they all can. I think they can continue that. Honestly, I mean, they're all pretty good 3-point shooters. It's whether or not they stay healthy. But guys, maybe like Sam Decker. Sam Decker's like been shooting really well. Maybe he's not going to shoot so well. You know, I don't know. The real crazy thing about Ryan Anderson is like, you know, we talk about like innovative ways. Like we talk about like how fours provide like spacing for shooters. Yeah. So what D'Antoni has done is Ariza is a fine 3-point shooter, but the Rockets have been actually shooting all these threes, and they're all like above the break threes. Like Ariza is practically the only person who really consistently shoots corner threes, and that's what he's best at. But they've like created spacing by having Gordon and Anderson really knock down those shot above the break threes, and then Anderson's providing more spacing because he's like you said, he's like 4 or 5 feet behind the line. He's like still knocking down shots.
He doesn't care.
And I think D'Antoni specifically is like design the offense so that it is like that to create more spacing for Harden to be able to get to the basket, because Harden's shooting the best of his career at the rim this year. And I think a lot of that is kind of like how I think Harden has increased his ability around the rim. Like he's gotten some more, you know, slick layups, or he's worked on his floater some. But I think the same with Steph is that they're just getting like wide open layups because you can't leave the shooters.
So another one of our buzzwords, vertical spacing. I think Capella providing that on the screen and rolls has also opened a lot up for Harden going to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that's the key to the offense. That's the key to those getting those alley oops like really sustains the offense. And I think it's underrated for a lot of teams. I think it's kind of like the Warriors transition baskets. Whenever they're not only the Warriors good on defense, but they're not like good on defense like the Spurs. They're like good on defense because they go out and get steals, and that leads to like easy buckets, and that usually ends up being like 3-pointers in transition.
Yeah.
Like the Capella pick and roll alley oops are those types of baskets that really either gets them going whenever they're in a rut, or really just vamps and gets the crowd into it whenever they're on a run. And like, so teams that they'll struggle against teams, I think, like the Clippers and like the Jazz, like they did earlier, that can really hinder that vertical spacing by having a really athletic center.
Yeah, I think the other thing to can a guy like Sam Decker keep it up here and that, but he's been incredible. Like, exceeded our expectations we had for him going into this season.
And he wasn't even a good shooter in college, and he's like been shooting really well. Like, it's kind of like, it's weird. Like, he's done like a Parsons thing. Like, Parsons wasn't a good shooter in college either. And then Sam Decker played like decent defense on Durant.
He was good. That was great down the stretch.
It was like really weird. And it's funny because I went to the first game that Parsons started, and it was against Oklahoma City. And I remember like laughing because I think it was like the 15th game or something. And like Mikhail did like one of his like noble things, and he like mixed up the lineup and put Parsons in it. And I remember I was like with my friend, we're like, who the hell is this white dude? And then he like guarded Durant. He guarded Durant really well. And then he like tried to like tip dunk on Ibaka. And then like Parsons was like, became like a cult hero. And I think like Decker like kind of did that in the Warrior against KD. And and then the other thing I was gonna say, like, that D'Antoni isn't scared to go with lineups. Like, he went with like Decker and Harrell for long periods in that Golden State game because they were playing well, but he wasn't scared to continue to go with them, where I think a lot of coaches would be. And I think like we were talking about with Kidd
and Decker against the Warriors in a double overtime game, they're just not going to do it.
Right. And he's not willing to, like, he didn't play Nene. I mean, Nene wasn't going to play anyway, but I don't think he would have played Nene had he had the opportunity, because he understands the matchups. And coaches, I don't feel like they're like too proud, or they don't like want to piss off their players or something. And so they don't do that kind of stuff, where D'Antoni doesn't really care, and he's going to do it what he wants.
Yeah, I think D'Antoni realizes he's trying to cost money, which makes it more fun. I don't know what Nene is going to give you guys, but if he does give you something for the end of the season, that's an added bonus, right? Like, really well, and he's not giving much. So if he's able to,
yeah, I mean, I think he has a niche on this team, though. Like, I think he has a niche against teams like Utah or San Antonio, where they have like guys that can kind of bully you in the post. Like, he's going to be playing more than Harrell's going to play. But whenever you have teams that are small and they have these switches, like we were switching Harrell onto Durant, not an ideal situation, but the fact that Harrell can at least, I mean, Durant was making shots. He wasn't like getting to the rim,
Yeah.
Like Harrell has that lateral movement to at least like play with those guys on the perimeter. Not as well as Capella can, but at least to an extent.
Sure. Yeah. I think the Rockets are a top 3 team in the West. I'm just glad you guys aren't playing Tyler enough anymore.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Bev's come back, you might be right. We'll see how long that's sustainable, but it's definitely been something.
It's stabilized a lot of things.
So, but well, maybe until next time. Hopefully, we can do this again. Maybe in a week, we can talk about some other teams that are doing some good things or some bad things. There's a couple that I think that are starting to turn around. What's up?
Let's talk about teams that are doing bad things. That's always fun.
There's a couple that are turning it around that I think are kind of interesting, like Detroit and Orlando. Orlando's like, now they were terrible on defense, and now they're like a top 5 defense.
Elfrid Payton's got 29 points and 9 assists coming off the bench and stuff. Yeah, I saw that game. That's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's some interesting teams that we should talk about next time we do this, sometime next week.
Absolutely. Just let me know. Let's let you
All
get
right.
some sleep now.
All right. Until next time.
Yeah, later, man.